Hello dear students, how are you today? The purpose of this activity is that you get familiar with the final assignment. See, one of the top skills that you can have as a student now is to get familiar with all these options that technology has to offer in order to be able to communicate messages. So I want you to experience what it's like to record a screencast of some valuable information that we learned throughout the semester. So I made it clear here on the front page. What I have here is a PowerPoint. I will provide this file to you as a way to illustrate what you are being required to do for this activity. So in the first slide, you can type your name, and you can, if you want, you can set and communicate what is the purpose of this evaluation right here. And then next, what you do is you provide a presentation overview. In this activity, you're going to talk about the skills that are required to be a translator. This is something that we explored when we learned about the ATA webinar at the starting when we started the semester a few months back, and some concepts about skills required to be a translator. The next one is everything that has to do with training and how training is so relevant for this career when you work in the language industry, when you are working towards acquiring native-like abilities. Training is everything. So we're going to explore some concepts on what is training and what is required to become a translator. How do I become a translator? We all know, and we're very familiar with the concept of the two-peaked iceberg. So we're going to spend some time talking about the two-peaked iceberg in this activity. The situational analysis, Holiday's model, field, tenor, and mode as a way to get a grasp or a basic information about the source text and what to expect when approaching a source text for the first time. This is something that you need to do immediately. You need to run a Holiday's framework and understand, based on the concept, understand this from the situational analysis point of view, what is being asked here, what kind of document you're going to be translating. So we'll take a look at Holiday's model. Also in this screencast, you're going to show the two main documents that you were required to translate this semester, and how did you approach, from what perspective did you actually approach the language analysis section. Also, we spent some time talking about the basic translation techniques and some of the direct and indirect translation techniques as we learned them in class. We also had a test at the beginning of the semester about these translation techniques that you need to be aware of. And lastly, the last part of the presentation is going to be about career options and best practices in this industry. So let's go ahead and get started. The first section is what skills do I need to become a translator? So you're very familiar with the two-peaked iceberg. I want you to spend some time talking about world subject matter. Maybe you can tell me on the screencast, why do you think you have so many different subjects and areas in which you are being trained in your college program? For instance, why did you take an organizational behavior class? Why do you take general culture courses, or maybe some kind of art? This is because you need to expand your world subject matter. Also, the importance of foreign language knowledge, transfer skill, and your abilities as a writer or as a speaker as you decide to become a translator or an interpreter. So please spend some time talking about language proficiency level, C2 and above. I want to see you using some of the terminology that we learned throughout the semester in this section. The next part I want you to get into is training. Why is training important? How do you train? How do you isolate elements of your practice? What is the importance of daily training routine? Is vision important? What happens if you don't train? No training, no vision. You can communicate a lot of excellent ideas from the training activity here. All right. So let's get into the technical part of this. Here in this section, when you prepare your screencast, I want you to go deep into what do we mean by tenor, what do we mean by field and mode. And what you're doing here, you are expanding on Holiday's framework. I want you to reflect on this and especially think about what you think is important for you to understand this concept of the situational analysis. As a translator, you're faced with a task and you need to run this analysis in order to understand, make decisions in terms of field. You prepare an activity on Ocean Spray in order to get the facts about the company, about what they do, what are they going to translate certain policies or procedures or contracts. So explain a little bit about that, expand on the framework. Okay, so next what you're going to do is you're going to show me the first document that you worked on, which is the Mutual Confidentiality and Non-Disclosure Agreement. Whatever information you know about this document, you should share it here. I explained where this document came from. It was a project that I worked myself, and this is why the name is on the contract. You have to tell me what's going on here. What do you think the company wants to protect its information? So please reflect on this from the translator's point of view. Why do you think companies have the mutual confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement? Also, when you talk about this, I want you to tell me your findings in terms of the analysis. Tell me something about field, mode, and tenor for this one document. And when you're done with this section, take good 1 to 2 minutes to do this, and then you go up to the next one. You go on to the next concept, the next document, the next source text, and you're going to explain how is this different from the other one in terms of field, mode and tenor and mode, field, tenor, and mode. All right, based on the framework. Okay. Next section, what I want you to do is to very briefly explain some of the direct translation techniques and just post here a couple of examples. Do not spend much time on this because you have a lot of information to talk about. And you're going to do the same in the next slide with the indirect or oblique translation techniques. So just go ahead and list them here and give me some examples so I know that you understand, that you are aware of the difference between direct translation techniques and indirect translation techniques. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to tell me some facts about the language industry from the ATA webinar. Apologize for this. This should be freelancing. Yes. Are you into the freelancing? Are you going to be a freelancer? Are you? Why are you going to be a freelancer? What are the benefits of being a freelancer? What about in-house translators? There are some facts in the ATA webinar that I want you to share here. What is important about carving out a niche? Why is this important? How can you compete being just a general translator compared to being an expert translator in a specific area? The importance of networking. How important is it so that you can get jobs in this field? Connections, networking. What kind of people do you know? Do you have contacts in companies? Why is this important? I want you to discuss a little bit about this. Also, the job of a project manager. What is the role that a project manager has within a major translation project? Okay, so your thoughts on these facts that you learned from the ATA webinar. And also I'll give you a couple minutes final remarks in terms of the content on some of your own input. What would you like to be involved in if you're going to be a translator? What areas would you like to be in? I would like to know some of this information as well. Okay, so I did this in 10 minutes. I went over all major points, and I hope you can do the same with a little bit more detail in each of the slides. But you can use the same file in order to do your screencast. Okay, you don't really need to have. I don't need to have you on the screen here. All you have to do is explain the major concepts that you learned throughout the semester. Okay, so I hope this helps and this clarifies a lot of doubts that you might have. in terms of the activity. And I wish you the best. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.